couple more comments, and then we'll ask for some final direction. I was going to mention, as Mr. Tarazinski just did, that when we talk TIF, particularly in this community, it appears oftentimes that the conversation drifts towards TIF means the downtown. Well, yes, TIF does mean the downtown, but TIF also means many, many other things. Streets, alleys, sidewalks, Barb City Manor, housing rehab programs. You know, the list is long. You've seen that list before. The next question that I'm recently receiving is, what if we got rid of TIF? And this question is being asked within the context of the city's general fund financial difficulties. And I'd like to talk about that for a moment. I handed out a one-page sheet at your desk. If you look at this, it's entitled TIF or No TIF, Impact to the General Fund. Get that in front of you. Starting in fiscal year 2011, as I've indicated earlier, this will be the first year of our surplus declaration. The city of DeKalb, along with the other taxing districts, will be the recipient of that surplus. In the city of DeKalb's case, that surplus will be deposited in its general fund. And as I've shown you here in this information, in 2011, the surplus to the city of DeKalb, both property tax and sales tax combined, is $754,000. In addition to that, the TIF district transfers money to our general fund for purposes of administering the TIF district. And by policy, we have that set at 8% of total revenues. For fiscal year 11, that's another $657,000. So in grand total, if we kept the TIF district for fiscal year 11, the revenues to the general fund as a result of keeping the TIF district is $1.4 million. Now to respond to the question, what if we eliminate the TIF district? What will that do to the city's general fund? That's the second half of this chart. If you got rid of the TIF district, you would replace that $1.4 million with instead $1.1 or $1.2 million. That $1.1 or $1.2 million is made up of the following. You would get your 7% of the total property tax distributed back to the city, $472,000, and then you would retain the city's portion of the sales tax TIF and keep that in the general fund for $703,000. Those two items combined equal, as I mentioned, $1.1 to $1.2 million. So from a general fund perspective, if you were to eliminate TIF, the general fund would be worse off by $200,000, $300,000 than if you kept the TIF district. So that's very important for, perhaps very complex to understand, but it's very important for not only the council, but the employees and the general public to understand that getting rid of TIF does not solve the general fund's problems. As a matter of fact, getting rid of TIF will make the general fund's problems worse. The last point I want to make is, it's a fair question, and that is just don't do the projects. With everything going on in the general fund, don't do the downtown projects. As I believe we've been able to show you, not doing the projects will not impact positively or negatively at all the general fund. Instead, doing the projects is, if you will, our own little mini stimulus package. It's improving parts of our town where interest rates and construction costs are low. It's putting people to work, but getting rid of it is not the answer to our general fund. That's very important for people to understand. If we chose not to do the projects, this money just sits there and is not being used to better the community. So that's our presentation. Again, we're looking for direction on revenue or general fund. Based on that direction, we'll get our financial advisors and bond counsels to work, and we'll have it in front of you for formal approval April 12th as part of your bid award package for these downtown projects.